Welcome everyone to this webinar on machine learning using Python. This is a part of the certification course that we run on Python at equiscale.com. Equiscale.com is a platform where you learn analytics directly from corporate pros and experts that have worked for Fortune 500 companies. Our motto at equiscale.com is really simple. We want to make sure that each and every learner is able to draw insights from the vast amount of data that is available to all of us today. And we want to shift the power equation from the corporates back to the people and help you be able to actually analyze your data to improve the state of yourself, your organization, or your country. We believe the only way you're ever going to actually learn analytics is if you practice. And therefore, one of the key methodologies that we have at equiscale.com is what we call do learn till infinity. And we do this using click and follow workshops, which is what you see over here. And what are click and follow workshops? Well, we show you how to do something and you practice along with us in the class. And by the time you leave the class, you actually have hands-on skills. Right? We believe in having a small class size of around 15 to 18 learners. And the faculties have a lot of experience. They're actually real analytics professionals. They're not professional trainers. They're working in the corporate sector. Right? And if you look at some of the companies that we've trained folks from, so you've got Microsoft, Texas Instruments, EY, you name it, a lot of the companies, including a lot of the Ivy League educational institutions, these are some, a representative sample of the places from where we've actually trained people. Now, a little bit about us, right? So I'll just start off with myself, and I've got Shubhro also on the line, so he will talk about himself in a very short while. So I am Amit, and I'm the founder and CEO of equiscale.com. And I'm a master's in business administration. I've also got a graduate degree in computer science, computer engineering. And the two things that I'm really passionate about are people and technology, right? And I've worked at Amazon.com for the longest amount of time and had the privilege of working with some direct reportees of Jeff Bezos, including Sebastian Gernigam. I supported Sebastian's team globally. And Sebastian today runs $35 billion merchants business at Amazon. I've also worked with the GR&D Center, and I've worked with them extensively on a bunch of technologies. While at Amazon, I've supported the fraud analytics team. I've been with the GIoT team. And finally, I was with Citibank Global Analytics and Insights before I started my own company, equiscale.com. So that's just a little bit about me. And let me just quickly give it over to Shubhro and see if he can introduce himself. And we have a lot of respect from Shubhro. He's from IIM Bangalore, the Ivy League college in India on analytics, and he's got vast experience. And I'll hand it over to you, Shubhro, to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Amit. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. So my name is Shubhradeep Nandi. You can call me Shubhra. I work as chief scientist with an early stage fintech startup. So we predominantly work in delivering insights on large customer data sets, and we also solve very intricate computer vision problems using various machine learning techniques. Prior to this, I have worked in companies like IBM. In IBM, I was part of Watson machine learning team. Many of you probably have heard about Watson. And I have also published 4 research papers, predominantly in the area of AI, cognitive, and machine learning. And apart from that, I have filed 3 patents, which are again in the field of machine learning and computer vision. Okay, so that's all about me. Over to you, Amit.
Thanks a lot, Shubhro, for that introduction there. Of course, Shubhro has vast experience in machine learning, and we have a lot of respect for what he brings on board. And Shubhra, I'll just mute you for the time being while I continue with a couple of slides. Okay, folks, so very quickly, we're here because data is exploding. And as some of you already know, right, and for some of you that don't know, we're doubling the amount of data that mankind has generated in the last 2 years. And today in 2017, the amount of data we have is twice what we had in 2015. Believe you me, 2015, we had twice the amount of data we had in 2013. Now, to put this into perspective, what I'm saying is from the time that mankind started generating data till today, we've been doubling, last 2 years, we've been doubling the amount of data that we have. And you can see here, right, this infographic, we call this an infographic, it's information in a graphical form. talks about 277,000 tweets, a minute, right? 2.5 million shares on Facebook a minute. So how do you begin to even make sense out of this data? Now, some of this is structured, but some of this is not structured. And you'd ask me a question, Amit, what is structured and what is unstructured? Well, as it so happens, I blog a lot about this on Quora.com. And by the way, you can follow us on Quora. Unstructured data, if you want to think about it, is anything that you cannot insert into a table. It could be picture, it could be audio. Structured data is something that can be used in a tabular format, and therefore you can query it, you can run code on it, right? So that's as much as a very basic level introduction to structured and unstructured data. But if you look at it, the amount of data itself that we're generating is doubling every 2 years. And what does that mean? It means that, well, companies are trying to make sense of that. They're trying to mine that data. And therefore, statistical analysis and data mining, right, is a skill which no matter where you are in the world, it doesn't matter if you're in the US or if you're in London, if you're in Hong Kong, Singapore, or if you're in India for that matter, it is on the top 20 hot skills. Typically, you'll find it somewhere in the top 10 skills. You will also find, along with this, the other really, really exciting technology trend, which is cloud computing, right? And you do not want to be left behind in this, because no matter what your domain is, whether you're in business or whether you're in programming, you do need to have a grip on data science, right? If you look at it, right, Facebook and LinkedIn, we might think that they're social networking and professional networking companies, but trust you me today that they're actually just data companies, right? And at the end of the day today, data is the new oil, data is the new soil, right? It's not like what it used to be earlier. I think the reality today is that data defines the biggest companies globally, right? The other thing that probably defines it as much as data is customer experience. And I was at Amazon, and I can tell you for a fact that the obsession with which they focus on the customer experience, especially the online customer experience, offline customer experience, is also very important. But it's again driven by data and algorithms. Before I go anywhere else, it's time for you all to participate. So Animesh, Aarti, right? Gary, Wang, right? Jonathan, all of you need to now tell me, Kerry, Logan, right? You need to all tell me, Sarah, what are the different kind of analytics that you've heard of? Wherever you've heard the word analytics, it probably comes along with a word. For example, financial analytics, right? So what are the different kinds of analytics that you've heard of so far? Can I get some responses in the chat box, please? This is time for you to participate, folks. I can tell you that there is no right answer. The most important thing is that each of you guesses and participates. So Animesh says data analytics. Aarti says business analytics. How about the rest of you? What are the different kinds of analytics that you've heard of? Predictive analytics is another one that I just got, okay? Keep going, folks. Surely you've heard more than this, right? Okay, Kerry's heard data analytics, and then risk analytics is one response that I got. I've got social analytics, absolutely. Okay, you guys are getting a drift, right? But a lot of these are really domains where you're applying analytics. Okay, for example, social analytics is applying analytics to the domain of social media. Risk analytics is applying analytics to the domain of managing risk. Similarly for behavior. The question is, what are the fundamental different kinds of analytics, right? Business analytics is about analytics being applied to business data. So some of you have got it, and I don't want to, drag it on further. I just want to go to the next slide. And I want to quickly introduce all of you to a slide that's really important, right? Look, the most important thing is today, everyone is struggling, right? Because they don't even know what is going on in a business. There's so many different channels in which businesses are selling in the world. Today, they're selling online, they're selling offline, right? And it's a struggle for a CEO or a CFO to even know what's going on in my business, what just happened last month. I mean, something as fundamental as, how much sales did we achieve, how much profit did we achieve. You might think this is easy, but with data doubling every 2 years, this has become a big challenge, right? Now, suppose somehow I managed to find out what's going on in the business, and I learned that last month, unfortunately, sales went down by 30%. And I'm the CEO of a company globally, and I'm going to ask you a simple question if you tell me sales went down by 30%, right? It's a question that has only 3 letters in a word. It's a single word, starts with W. Okay, can all of you tell me what's the common sense question that a CEO is going to ask if you tell them, you know what, sales went down 30% last month? Everyone in the chat box. It's a simple word, 3 letter word, starts with W, and this is what the CEO is going to ask, right? And you guys, you got it right. You all got it. And the question that they're going to ask is, why did this happen? Now, understand this, folks. This is a great way to understand the different kinds of analytics, right? What happened in a business is basically the description of the business, right? And you see here the word descriptive analytics, okay? So this word descriptive analytics is about describing what happened in a business. It typically is something that happens in hindsight. For example, what happened last month or what happened last year, right? But when you talk about why it happened the way it happened, okay, you're beginning to now talk about predictive analytics, and you're trying to predict why things are going on the way they're going on. You're trying to gain some insight into why things went on the way they did. Hopefully, you can use that insight to forecast. For example, if we know that during Black Friday sale on Amazon, we're going to have a 400% increase in the amount of orders that Amazon is going to receive. Then if we can forecast this from year on year, if we can model it and forecast it, we can be ready to fulfill these kind of orders, right? So the first time that you have such a spike, you ask the question why it happened. And if the answer is seasonality, by the way, I'm using the word seasonality, Black Friday sales is seasonal sales, then you can decide how to respond to these seasonal sales, right? Okay. Now, the question is not just about this, right? The question now is, it's not just about what happened and why it happened. So descriptive and predictive are all great. But then any business would want to know, okay, how do we proceed in the future? And the moment you ask the question, how do we proceed in the future? Okay, you're asking people to prescribe how a business should operate or how, you know, a .com should operate. And the process of doing that, right, is what we call prescriptive analytics. Okay, and this is the highest form of analytics, and machine learning, right, and dynamic rule utilization, or even if you look at deep learning, all fall into the realm of prescriptive analytics. And if you want to think about, anyone asks you what is prescriptive analytics, it's about having foresight into what's going on in a business and to be able to act in advance to positively impact the business metrics. Great, so there you have it. Descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive are only the 3 kinds of analytics, and they're really about what, why, and how to proceed in a business. Now, if you ask me, well, this is all great, but what's big data analytics? Well, it's nothing but any one of these analytical techniques when they're implemented using big data technologies, for example, Hadoop, Hive, right? If you use Spark, if you use Hadoop, if you use Hive, and you apply this on data sets, for example, that today, you know, are greater than 1 GB, okay? Now, in the future, trust me, 1 GB might not be big data. So let me say that right away. But today, to work on such large data sets and to apply any of these techniques that you see here, right? Okay, any of these techniques that you see here, you would have to use big data technologies, and that is big data analytics. There you go. Applying any one of these analytics in the risk domain, financial risk, and measuring or reducing financial risk, that is risk analytics. Applying this to HR is HR analytics, right? So now you all get a drift of what are the different kinds of analytics, right? Are we all clear about what are the different kinds of analytics? Can we all say yes in the chat box if you're clear? I'm just going to wait for some responses. If you have questions right here, folks, we're more than happy to take them, okay? But save them because we will have a Q&A at the end, okay? Okay, fantastic. All right, folks. So by and large, we seem to be quite clear about the 3 different kinds of analytics, and let's move ahead on our journey, right? If you look at it, we're going to talk a little bit today about machine learning, okay? And over here, right at the top, you know, you see the most sophisticated form of analytics called machine learning. Now, understand this, that in order to get there, it might be necessary to build some foundations in predictive and a little bit of foundations in descriptive analytics as well. Okay, and another thing that I would like to share with all of you, which is really important, folks, is that 70% of the work in the industry today is still being done in the realm of descriptive and predictive analytics. So when you talk about tools like Tableau, right, that do data visualization or visual analytics, or you talk about, and Tableau, by the way, is the world's #1 tool, okay, on visual analytics. So you talk about MSBI, Microsoft Business Intelligence, right? All of these tools are descriptive analytics tools. They also achieve and they have a certain amount of predictive analytics capability as well, which I will show you in a demo today. Okay, and understand that this is where a lot of the work will get done. Even when you look at R, or whether you look at Python, okay, and if you look at older tools that are really popular with the banks and financial services industry like SAS, okay, no matter which one you look at, the work is happening 70% in descriptive and predictive analytics. Now, before I move ahead, I want to see if Shubhro wants to add anything to what I've talked about on this slide and sort of sprinkle his wisdom before I move ahead. Yeah, Shubhro, I've just unmuted you. If you'd like to just add anything to this slide, please.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. So I think most of you have got the understanding that data is exploding, and you understand that we need to derive insights. But if you see historically, machine learning and allied techniques, which is like neural networks, the algorithms that probably will be dealing in the class, were probably the initial phase when they were discovered were probably in between 1950s and 1980s. Okay. So, can you guys guess? Like, one part is definitely the data is exploding, but what had made machine learning come to the forefront over these years? Like, predominantly from 2013, 2014, machine learning has slowly come to the forefront. So, one part definitely is data is increasing, but can you guys guess, like, what more has changed, which has brought machine learning to the forefront? Okay, can someone guess it?
Everyone, folks, come on, take a guess. The only thing we love better than the right answer is the wrong answer, right? So go ahead, take a guess. Please type in your responses in the chat box. Yeah.
Yeah, please type your responses there. You can take the wildest guess. I would love to see the wildest guess. Okay, anybody? No one? Yeah, definitely ML can predict automation trends. Okay. So in the interest of time and just to get your curiosity, the curiousness that you have fulfilled. Okay, thanks for the guesses. But the key thing here is that the hardware part, right? So the hardware on which this huge data, the gigabytes of data, the petabytes of data, the terabytes of data run are basically the hardware. So now this hardware, which is very costly before 2011, 2010, and predominantly were only available to people as in like corporates and people who have large bags of money. Now this has been democratized. So one part is that hardware has become cheaper. GPUs and CPUs are very easily available. So once that is available to you, you can easily do computation. So that is the reason you can see that in especially in machine learning and AI, there is an explosion in the startup area. Okay, there you probably have seen a lot many startups have come in that particular area. So basically two reasons just to add over here. One is the data explosion, which Amit has already mentioned, and the second is the cheap availability of computing hardware. Okay, so this is the insight that I wanted to add over here. Amit, please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Shubhro. And Shubhro, I was just wondering, in the interest of the sequence, right? Would it be okay if I do a quick demo on descriptive and predictive analytics in Tableau before handing it over to you for the machine learning theory and the machine learning demo? Would that make
Sure.
sense, or should we first go through your slides and and after
No, I
that
think
then
I think that would be awesome, Amit. You can continue with the demo with the Tableau, and then I'll.
right, right. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's great, folks. Folks, I want to give you a demo of the world's leading tool on visual analytics, and it's called Tableau. And visual analytics is a little different from data visualization in the sense that you actually explore data using visuals rather than exploring data by using calculations or by using computations. And I'll show you why this is important. But before that, you want to talk about Gartner's Magic Quadrant in 2017. And if some of Gartner is the leading body on research on analytics globally, right? And if you look at their quadrant for the year 2017, right? And I'm happy to share this link with all of you. Let me go and do that in the chat box so you can also have a look at the quadrant. It talks very highly of two tools, right? The first tool, and I've just shared the link, the first tool is Tableau, and the second one is MSBI, Microsoft Business Intelligence. And I want to actually demo one of these tools to you today, Tableau, and we'll go ahead and run through that demo very quickly and give you a sense of the power of visual analytics, right? Okay. Now, the question is, what is data visualization? And that's a great question that just came over. Now, I want to take you over to this slide, and I want to ask you the question that how many nines do you see in this slide? Can you all tell me right now? How many nines do you see in this slide? Just go ahead and count, please, and tell me. Give me your answers in the chat box. Okay, we've got 9 from John Connor. Anybody else? John, you've got exceptional skills there, I must say, okay? Kerry says 10. Okay, for the rest of you, now can you count and tell me how many nines do you see on this slide? There you go. And this time it didn't take you guys a lot of time to understand this, right? The reason is you didn't even process this, at the brain level, right? Color is something you process way before you process numbers. Now, we'd all like to think that we're great at numbers, and true, some of us are. John and Kerry, congratulations to you, you were quite close. But the reality is that the vast majority of us do a far better job, right, of looking at colors and data than we do of looking at numbers. Now, that brings us to the question, what is visual analytics and why has it become so important, right? You will see that most data scientists, and most people in the analytics industry, they love to visualize their data before they actually get down to the job of predicting stuff or doing the maths, doing the hard algorithms on it. And why do they do that? It's because real visual analytics is not about graphs and charts like this. This is just work that you've done in Excel, and you want to represent this by using data visualization. Now, data visualization is about visualizing, your data, visualizing the, outcomes or measures of your data for a business, but you're not actually, visually analyzing that data. So any graph is not visual analytics, because there are no thoughts there. You've already done the math on the Excel sheet, you've done it on some other tool or software. Thinking's already happened. Visual analytics is when you actually explore the data visually, and we're going to do that today in a very short while. You analyze it visually and you collaborate and ask questions while you actually do that. And that's what Tableau achieves, right? And brains, the way our brains work, when you look at something like this here, this is what's for breakfast versus if I show you something like this, here you go on the right hand side, right? So which one would you prefer? The one on the left or the one on your right? Just say yes or no, just give me your responses in the chat box, folks, right? There you go, right? So most of us would prefer, what's on the right. Some of us, may like the left, don't worry about it. But most of us would love to see a visualization. And even trends like, when you say 80% of the people are checking their internet on the mobile phone, and this is how you want to sort of represent it visually. And simple visualizations are really, really popular these days, right? This one talks about the number of injuries on a football player, right? But let me jump to, one slide, right? Visual analytics is about exploiting a human being's capabilities in order to understand the data, right? Now, Raghu, asks a question: is Tableau and Microsoft the only tools for visualization? Absolutely not. You've got ClickView, you've got a bunch of other platforms, but Tableau and Microsoft are rated #1, and they're the maximum number of jobs right now in Tableau, MSBI, and ClickView. And that's why a lot of data science people like to know R or Python along with one visualization tool, either Tableau or MSBI or ClickView. Right? And that combination is deadly in the market. For example, R plus Tableau, right? Or for example, Python plus Tableau. Right? Okay, now let me show you some data here. I've got 4 data sets, folks, and in these 4 data sets, you'll notice I've got some variables X and Y in each one of these data sets. Okay. What you'll notice is that when you try to analyze this using statistics, you'll actually find that they're very identical. So all 4 of these data sets, okay, and here you go, stunning results, right? All of them have exactly the same mean of X, exactly the same variance, the mean of Y, variance of Y to 3 places of decimal, correlation between X and Y, linear regression line, okay, which predicts how Y and X are related to each other. Everything is exactly the same, and you would be under the impression by trying to analyze data like this by using formulas that there's nothing to analyze. There's nothing differentiating these 4 data sets, but nothing could be further than the truth. Okay, these data sets were designed by Francis Enscombe, who's a statistician, a French statistician, way back, to illustrate the fact that if you visualize the data, you get a very different picture. And here you go. The moment you visualize this data, you actually realize that you've got one data set that has a clear line of best fit, okay? And the data is scattered all, on the different sides of this line almost equally, right? In one of the cases, as X increases, Y goes up initially, but after some time, it reaches a point where it saturates and Y comes back down. In the third data set, Y actually goes down consistently as X increases. And there's something called an outlier, which we either need to explain or ignore. In the fourth data set, there's absolutely no correlation between X and Y. For the same value of X, there are multiple values of Y, and there is one outlier, which we either need to explain or ignore. Outlier in the data set. So as you can see, visualization is when you actually try to analyze your data visually and make a lot of sense out of it, right? Now, can Tableau be used for unstructured data, says Nidhi. Nidhi, you have to convert data into a tabular format to be able to import it into Tableau. There are different approaches for unstructured data. Okay, for example, you could have data lakes, or you could have different technologies that you would use for unstructured data. Okay. All right, so it's time for a Tableau demo. How many of you would like to see Tableau in action on predictive analytics, right? Please say yes if you're excited, and we're going to get into Tableau and give you a demo there before you hit machine learning. There you go. Okay, so this course, folks, covers both data visualization and visual analytics in Tableau, and it combines that with machine learning in Python, right? And this is the machine learning certification by equiskill.com. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to a data source, okay, called the Superstore dataset, and I'll be happy to share this dataset with all of you, right? And believe you me, Tableau is free of cost, so all of you can actually download Tableau. We'll include that link, and you can do exactly what you're seeing here, right, in this dataset. Now, what you will see is that this dataset, it's got 3 tables in it. It's got some orders that customers have placed, and that's on the left-hand side. Okay, and it's also got the people that placed the orders, and it's got the people that made some returns. So looks like there's 3 different sort of tables in this data set. Okay, and what I'm going to do right now is show you how actually to pull a table out and include it in your data canvas. Now I take orders and I drop it here on the data canvas. This is known as the data canvas, and immediately I can see all of the orders that have been placed, okay, in this data set. Now, to explain to you very quickly here, what you will see is anything that is numerical gets represented in Tableau with a hash. So if you see a hash, it's a numerical data, right? If you see an ABC, then you know that it's actually characters, right? Okay, and if you actually see a calendar icon, then you know it's date and time. And some of you who are from the analytics world know that we refer to data that has date and time as temporal data. Okay, You'll also see something funny here, which looks a little bit like the world, and it's got a couple of lines running across it vertically and a couple of lines horizontally, and that is geospatial data, right? It's latitude and longitude, or cities or countries. That's geospatial data. So Tableau actually gives you a pretty good idea of what kind of data you're looking at, right? And you can scroll all the way till the right, all the way till the left to look at all the orders that have been placed. Okay, and there are thousands of rows of data in this particular data set. Now I'm beginning to analyze this data set, but before I do that, I just want to show you that if you drag returns out to the canvas area and drop it here, Tableau immediately finds a relationship between the orders and the returns. And if you look at it, it automatically detects a relationship. I'm going to show you which field the Tableau has found that is common between orders and returns in a short while. I click here and it says it's an inner join. By the way, we'll explain that. We also have a class on SQL in this course. So this is an inner join on the field market. And this field seems to occur in both the orders and the returns table. And if you scroll, surely you will find the market here. And it says APAC, which is Asia Pacific, EU, which is Europe, LATAM, Latin America, right? So it shows you all of the different markets in which the orders have been placed now. For the time being today, I'm going to click on the caret here and remove returns. We'll just play with the orders very quickly and give you a sense of the power of Tableau. Now I've clicked on sheet 1 at the bottom left corner, and it's highlighted in orange color, and I've gone and I've clicked on sheet 1, and I'm going to work on this data set in a very short while and analyze this visually to prepare some insights to get to understand this data set a little bit better, right? Okay, here we go. Now, what we have here is the Tableau screen, and all of you can see on the left hand side that we've got some, something called dimensions, we've got something called measures. Okay, I want to explain this to you really nice and easy. This is something that comes from the world of data warehousing. Okay, and if you don't know what data warehousing is, don't worry about it. Okay, what are dimensions and measures? So let's understand that a little bit there, right? When a baby is born, okay, simple question. When a baby is born, doctors measure certain things in order to make sure that everything is okay with the baby. Now, what are those things? Very quickly in the chat box, all of you can answer. What are the things that doctors measure? There you go, right? Okay, so I've got one response. Weight, you're absolutely right. Pulse, Yash, you're right. Watson, you're right about weight. I think, I'm sorry, I think your name was Eri. So Eri, I'm sorry about that. Eri Watson, right? Okay, can I get some more responses, please? Okay, there you go. So folks, all the things that you just talked about, height, length, circumference of the head, right, heartbeat, these are all measures. Measures tell you if everything is okay or not. Measures typically have an upper and a lower control limit, right? Height, weight, heart rate, everything, right, needs to be below a lower limit and, above a lower limit and below an upper limit for everything to be called normal with the baby, okay? And these are measures, okay? Similarly, in a business, the measures are things like profit or the things like sales, right? You need to make sure every month that you have a certain amount of sales, a certain amount of profit. You also don't want to give too much discount. I know you all love discounts, but for a business, that's something they want to measure and control, right? You'd like to sell a lot of quantity, right? So you'd like that to be high. So measures as things that you want them to be either high or low, and you want them to be within a certain range, okay? Now, is that really clear to all of you that what are measures in a business? Yes? Please say yes in the chat box if you're really clear. Super. Okay, and I'm going to move ahead now and talk about dimensions, and it's going to be equally easy. Just like doctors measure certain things about the baby, just like that, mothers and fathers and grandparents and everyone adores a baby, right? And they look at certain things, they describe the baby. Okay, how do they describe the baby? What are the things that they talk about, to describe the baby? But they're not actually measuring those things. Okay, you don't really care what those values are, but you use them to describe the baby. Okay, what are those things? How do you describe a baby? The way a baby looks. Okay, come on, folks. There you go. Okay, cute, pretty, eyes, absolutely. What are the color of the eyes? Yes. How is the hair? What is the color of the hair? Is it a long nose? Is it a short nose? Right? All of these things. How about male or female? Yes. Isn't it? Male or female as well. Now, do you prefer for the baby to be a boy or a girl? No, you don't, right? You're okay with either. Right? Do you prefer for a baby to have, a certain color of eyes? Would you be happier or unhappy if a baby had brown eyes instead of blue eyes? Sure, you might like blue eyes, but I don't think you'd have a problem with brown eyes either, would you? So the challenge is, that anything that describes a business but doesn't necessarily take desirable values, okay, is known as a dimension. Okay, these are things that describe a business, but they don't necessarily take, a value that is desirable. Now, what decides the limits is one of the questions we got. So in the medical profession, you can actually measure an entire population and describe the limits. In businesses, you can look at competitors, you can look at the market size and decide how much your sales or your profit should be. Now, I'm going to analyze this data very, very quickly, folks, for all of us. And just to give you a sense of the power of Tableau, I'm going to try and see which markets we're actually doing well in and which markets we're not doing well in, and look at the power of Tableau. I'll take markets from dimensions, I'll click on it, I'll go drop it on the column, okay? And I'll take the quantity sold and I'm going to go drop it on the columns as well, and I'm going to drop it there after the market, right? Now I'll take all the different categories and I'll drop that on the row. And I'll take all of the different segments in which I'm actually making sales, and I'm going to drop that in the rows after the category. The moment I do that, I see that I'm operating in furniture, office supplies, and technology. These are the categories. I'm operating in consumer, corporate, and home office segments. In Africa, APAC, Canada, EMEA, EU, LATAM, and the US. And this is how quickly I'm able to figure out, how I'm doing. Wouldn't it be great if I could get different colors for the different markets, right? Instead of blue for all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take market and drop it on top of color, and boom, there you go. This is your first sort of visualization in Tableau. I'll make it fit the width and go to maximum view. Right away, you can tell me which is the market where we have the least amount of sales and where it looks like we've just started out in this market. All of you in the chat box, right? There you go. Right, it's Canada, right? And it looks like we've just started out in Canada. So I can right click on Canada, go and annotate this point, leave a comment saying that Canada is an emerging market. Now understand that I haven't done any Excel, I haven't done any calculations whatsoever, right? Now, is there a specific number of dimensions and measures that need to be included? No, Nidhi. What Tableau will do is it will break up all of your data into dimensions and measures. If you believe that something is in the wrong section, you can always drag it and drop it in the other section. So I could take quantity from measures and I could go and drop it on dimensions if I think it's a dimension. Okay. So we will cover this in great detail, Nidhi, as we go through the certification as well. Yeah. Thank you for that question. Now, folks, I've analyzed which is the emerging market. Let me do another quick thing and show you the power of Tableau. The biggest challenge is how do you actually begin to understand what kind of visualization to use for what kind of data? And this becomes a huge challenge for a lot of us, right? Should I use a bar graph, a pie chart? Should I use three-dimensional? I mean, what should I do? So now, if I want to look at the sales that I'm doing globally, okay, I now know where I'm achieving the maximum quantity of sales, right? But if I want to look at the amount of sales I'm achieving globally, I want to show you a method of doing it. Okay. Now, Debaduti has a question. Is it possible that a dimension is not available? It would be highly unlikely that you wouldn't have anything describing your data, right? So whether it's a customer or whether it's a product, there is always a description. Think of it in this way. A product can be described as either a white good or a washing machine or a microwave or, kitchen appliances. If you think about human beings, they can be described. So typically there will always be some dimensions and some measures, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand how the dimensions impact the measures. Okay, Debaduti, so you need to have both. Yeah. All right. So folks, I'm going to rename this sheet on the bottom left corner by right clicking, and I'm going to call this, right, emerging markets. Okay. I also know, by the way, that Africa and EMEA also seem to be emerging. So I can right click there and annotate that area as well, right? And I can say also an emerging market. Okay. And Tableau does this really well. But here's what's even better. Now, as I hope to understand, how is the sales doing in all of these countries? So I click on sales in the measures, I click on country in the dimensions, as easy as that, right? I see that country is highlighted in blue and sales in green. Well, that's because Tableau highlights measures as green and dimensions as blue, okay? And on the top right corner, you see something very harmless called show me. And I go and click on show me. And the moment I do that, it opens up all of these visualizations, okay? But it kind of points towards one of them, and it says that this would be great to use, symbol maps. And this is the power of Tableau, right? It suggests which one would be the best visualization for me to understand the relationship between sales and countries. So I double click on that visualization. The moment I do that, it shows me the sales in all the countries in the world in one view, okay? But guess what? As a business, I'm not just interested in the sales in the US being $2.2 million, but I want to know how it's doing in all the different states, right? And Yogesh says, great, right? And this is the power of Tableau, folks, okay? And look at how easily I'm going to break the sales in the United States into the different states. So I'm going to take states from the dimensions, I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to drop it here in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, there you go. And boom, the moment I do that, right, it breaks up the sales into the different states in each country in the world. Okay. Now I could also zoom into a particular country, for example, United States, and I could see what's going on there. Yeah. Here we go. But wouldn't it be great if I also knew where I was making profits? Is it just all about sales? Because it does look like, you know, I'm making a lot of sales in California, in Seattle, Washington, maybe a lot of sales in the East Coast as well. But what about the profit? Is profit important or not? Yes or no? Just say that in the chat box, folks. Yes? No? Would you like to know about the profit as well? Great, but it's going to be really complex finding out the profit, isn't it? It's going to be really complex, isn't it? Yeah? Well, maybe not, okay? So here's what we do. We take profit, drag it, and drop it on top of color. And boom, the moment you do that, you now know where you're actually making profits and where you're not. So, for example, in the United States, you know that you've got a challenge in Texas, you've got a challenge in Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, but you're doing really well in California. I'm guessing there's a Silicon Valley, Washington, where you've got Amazon and Microsoft, and then New York, you're doing really well, right? And similarly, across the world, you can tell that by and large we're profitable, but there are some challenges. For example, Turkey, Istanbul, New Zealand, right? Now, we want to understand this a little bit better, okay? But before I do that, I'm just going to change the color scheme, okay? I always prefer green for profitable, and I would prefer red for less profits, and step the color up to 6 and include the full color range and apply that. And this is far more compelling, right, as a visualization than the previous one, right? Can we add text to the visual representation at the points that are highlighted? Absolutely, you can. And Tableau, you've got a free version. I'm using a free version right now called Tableau Public. And if you just Google Tableau Public, and I'm going to type this in the chat box, and I'll include it in the email. All of you can download it lifetime free of cost. Isn't that wonderful? All right. So you can add comments, right? And Nidhi, as you can see over here, as I hover over any of the locations, for example, Texas, I get a comment box, okay, which tells me the profit and the sales for Texas. So Nidhi, I hope that helps you. Yeah, you can add even more to that. Okay, this is known as the tooltip, and it's over here. I'm going to show you where the tooltip is, Nidhi, right? It's over here, and anything else that you would like to see when you hover over the data, you can drag it and drop it here on the tooltip, and that will solve your problem. Okay, that's a great question though. Thanks a lot. Yes, so we can do calculations in Tableau as well. So if you look at over here, when you look at something, for example, the sales, okay, Abhishek's got a question on calculations. You can include your own measures like sum, average, median, counts, maximums, all the calculations you want. You can even add a specific customized calculation as well, right? So you can do that in Tableau. All calculations are possible. Now, it looks like we're working on a visualization, but don't be confused, okay? If you right click and you click on view data, immediately it will take you to the underlying database, and here you go, right? You can all see the data that is right behind this particular visualization in Tableau. For each of the views that you have in Tableau, if you just right click and view data, you will see that there's a table with calculations, and all those calculations and tables are running along with your visualization. The cool thing is you get to visualize and understand the data while Tableau creates all the databases right there behind the scenes for you. Yeah, really cool. How many of you are liking it so far? I'm going to rename this global sales and profit. Yeah, how many of you are liking Tableau? Okay. Now, what we are doing right now, okay, it's important at equiscale.com, we relate the theory and the practice. So, what we're doing so far, my friends, is we are actually doing descriptive analytics. We are describing what is going on in this business, but now we're going to shift gears and move up gears into predictive analytics, okay? So, get ready for that. Before I hand it over to Shubhra, and here we go. The third and last thing I want to show you is that we want to know what is impacting profitability, right? Jerry, thanks a lot, Jerry. So let's have a look at the different categories that we've got, okay? And let's look at which categories and subcategories are making profits and not making profits, yeah? And Abhishek Pandey has a question, how to visualize real-time data. Yes, you can connect to a real-time data source in Tableau, Abhishek. You do not need to connect to a static data source. You can connect using ODBC connectivity to real-time data, and it automatically gets refreshed. All your visualizations get refreshed automatically, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do now, folks, is use category, subcategory, and explore where I'm making the profits and where I'm not making the profits. So I click on category, subcategory, so simple, right? And I click on sales, okay? The moment I do that, I go to show me on the top right corner, and it already recommends the bar graphs this time. And I'm going to double click that, and boom. Now I can tell where I'm making the maximum amount of sales and where I'm not making a lot of sales. So if you look at this, I've got furniture, I've got office supplies, I've got technology. So can all of you tell me which one seems to be the highest amount of sales? In furniture, technology, and office supplies, which one seems to be the highest amount of sales? Right? Okay, phones, absolutely. Right? But if you look at the category, right? Kerry, you're right. Kerry is absolutely right. It's technology, isn't it? But something seems to be impacting the profitability in office supplies. Okay. And if we want to explore this show, we could drop profit on top of color. And the moment we drop profit on top of color, we now know that the lowest performing category is tables. Subcategory is tables in furniture. Okay, but the highest performing ones are technology, specifically copiers and phones, like some of you rightly pointed out. So wouldn't we love to understand what is impacting profitability in some of the categories? Okay. So I'm just going to rename this sheet category and subcategory. Okay. Performance. There we go. Now I'm going to get into the last leg of my demo here in Tableau, and we're going to move up and understand and predict why we're making losses in certain regions. Now, could it be that the shipping cost is impacting our profits? Suppose that's the question that you have, right? All you need to do is drag shipping cost out to columns, okay, and drag profit out to the rows, because we want to know what's impacting shipping cost and profit. And you've got this one point on the graph that shows you total profit and total shipping cost. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the different categories of product that I have on the color. Okay. The moment I do that, instead of 1, I get 3 points. Okay. Each one represents technology category, office supplies category, and furniture category. Right. I'm also going to take the markets in which I'm performing. Okay. And I'm going to bring this into the picture. Let me see which markets we're doing well in and which markets we're not doing well in. So I'll take markets and I'll drop it, but this time I'll drop it on top of shape. So each market, for example, APAC, EMEA, will all become a different shape. Now you see three squares. Okay, each one of these squares represent Asia Pacific, but the orange square represents office supplies in APAC, furniture in APAC is blue, and red is technology in APAC. Okay. Finally, I'm going to bring customers into the picture, and this is all going to become very confusing before it becomes very simple. Okay, I'll drop customers on the detail, and boom, I can now see how much profit we're making for different customers. But it's a total mess. Okay, total mess, because we're aggregating this for each customer. It's hard to tell the trends, except that blue is somewhere in the center of the X and Y axis, and you can see zero profit is right at the center. So where is the line of zero profit? This here, my friends, is a line of zero profit. Anything above this is a lot of profit, but anything that's below this, okay, is actually losses. And you can see we're making a lot of losses. So we need to understand this a little bit better. My hunch is that shipping cost may be impacting the profit. So what I'm going to do is disaggregate the data. Now I'm using a big word, disaggregate. I go to analysis and I disaggregate. What did I do? What I just did is I'm representing each and every row in the table, okay, as one point on this graph. And now I can clearly see the data running to the right hand side. I can see the blues, the oranges running to the right, but I can see the reds are not actually running so much to the right. They're also going up and down, okay, especially the reds in the US market. Okay, so technology in the US market, where some customers are really profitable, like this one over here, but others, like this one over here, technology, and this one over here are not so profitable. I can right click, I can view the data and find out which customer this is if I'd like to, but for the time being, I need to do something more important. I'm going to include the analytics tab. Okay, so I'm on the data tab, and I'm going to go in Tableau on the analytics tab over here, and we're going to do predictive analytics. I go there, and surely this must be really hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the line called the trend line and come and drop it here on top of linear regression. What is linear regression? I'll explain in the course, but it's basically a relationship between X and Y. Now, if you see here, the blue line represents furniture, and we all noticed a short while ago that tables were actually not so profitable. So my question is that the reason why they're not profitable? Because there's a lot of shipping cost? Well, the relationship is, well, profit is equal to 0.74 into shipping cost plus negative minus 4.46. Okay. Now, how do you make sense of this? Well, the really important thing is you've got to look at the R squared value. And as you can see here, the R squared value is 0.069. Now, you'll say, Amit, what is R squared value? It's really simple. R squared value tells you how strongly is a movement of profit related to a movement in shipping cost. So if shipping cost goes up and down, how strongly does profit go up and down? Now, this R squared value can actually range between 0 and 1. Okay, so it can go all the way from 0. It has to be greater than 0. Okay, and it can go all the way till 1. Okay, it is also known as the coefficient of determination. Because it determines how much y is determined by x. Y is equal to mx plus c. Now, if this is 1, it means that they are perfectly related, which means the moment x goes up, y goes up completely. Now, 1 would be really great, okay, which is 100%. If this is 0, then it means there's absolutely no relationship between x and y, which is what we saw a short while ago in one of the graphs, where y kept going up despite the fact that x remained exactly the same. So in this case, why am I taking you through all of this is to help you understand that the R square value is really low. It's just 0.069. If you multiply that by 100, that means it's just 6.9%. So it's not that strongly related. Okay, so I might believe that shipping cost is impacting profit, while it is true that shipping cost is impacting profit a lot for furniture. And then after that for the red line, which is technology. And then finally, the orange line, which is office supplies, least least impact is on office supplies. So office supplies, 18% relationship between the two things, right? Over here 12% relationship, but here just 6.9% relationship. So overall, it's fair to say that I'm predicting here that shipping cost is not going to be I'm so sorry, folks. We had a quick challenge there. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to make Shubro the presenter. Okay. Just give me a second here while I do that. Now, some of you have your video enabled, so please go ahead and disable your video. So Shubra, let me go ahead and make you the presenter. Yeah, just give me a second here.
Sure. Thanks, Amit.
Yeah, just a second. Okay. Some of you need to sort of disable your video, please. Right. So I'm going to do that for a couple of you while we move ahead. Okay. Shubra, you're the host now. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Amit. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So hello, everybody. I think you had an exciting demo and understanding about Tableau. Okay. So now let's get back to the basics about what is machine learning. And with this, I'll go ahead with the basic definition about what is machine learning. Okay. Now you can see over here on the screen. Okay. So I have mentioned about Michelle and who is Tom Mitchell. Okay. So what is 1997 Tom Mitchell and why I'm talking about machine learning and why I'm mentioning him. Okay. Let me give a brief history about who Tom Mitchell is. Okay, so he is born in 1951 and he was the former chair of machine learning department at CMU. Okay. Okay. So why I have taken the definition of what is machine learning from him is primarily because he is the first person who wrote a book called Machine Learning. Okay. And in that he wrote something which you can see over here that the clear definition. A computer program is said to learn from experiences E with respect to some class of tasks T and performance measures P if its performance at the task improves with the experience. Okay, so that's a pretty complicated definition. Let me simplify it. Okay, so if you see over there are two key things. Okay, okay, I hear some of my echo. So okay, if someone can actually mute yourself or everyone out there. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So the two key points out here is that it is a machine learning algorithm is one which can help the machine to learn from past experiences, and it keeps on improving. Okay, it's an intelligent algorithm which keeps on improving the outcome or the performance. Okay, so two key points or takeaways from the definition which Tom Mitchell gave at 1997 via his book The Machine Learning. Okay, now there is a business definition to machine learning as well, which is given by Forbes. Okay, Forbes says that machine learning is a current application of AI based around the idea that we should really just be able to give machine access to data and let them learn for themselves. Interesting, isn't it? So basically, we give the machine the data, and the algorithms are intelligent enough that it will ingest the data and give you insights. Okay, so that's what Forbes tell us. So I hope you got the basics, very basics about what machine learning is, right? Okay, let's move a bit ahead and see what's next. Okay, so can you identify what you see in your screens? The breed of the dog, basically. Can you identify which breed I'm talking about? Absolutely. Abhishek says it's a dog. Yes. Amazing. Anybody else? Carrie says it's golden retriever. Devduti says it's golden retriever. Fasu says it's Labrador. Okay. Okay. Now tell me, how did you guys identify this? Okay. So Devduti, Carrie, Basu, how did you guys identify it? Excellent. Carrie says that the color of the dog and the size. Wow. Okay. We have just moved one step ahead. So as a human being, okay, what do we see? We see the image on the screen. Okay. Yeah. Somebody says texture. Okay. Yeah. So we saw that it's a four-legged animal, and now it has got a wagging tongue. It has got a tail. Okay. Right. So now, when we saw all those things, then one key thing that we also saw over here is that we saw the color of the skin color of the dog, right? The hairs which it has. This typically, based on our experience, some of you say there is a golden retriever, right? And some of you say it's a Labrador. Nice. So forget about the answer that you guys got. Think about the experience, what you guys felt when you saw the image and you came back with an answer, right? The experience here is that, okay, the experience that you have. So you probably have seen similar dog for the first time. Somebody said you, or you probably have seen an image which says that it's a golden retriever, or you have seen a dog or asked its owner that what kind of breed it is. So somebody said it's a golden retriever. And then finally, you realize that a dog which looks like this can be called a golden retriever. So that is the thought process or the experience that you got on the first day when you saw a golden retriever or a dog like this. And you remembered it. Now, the people who have seen it have become better and better. So now, immediately, once it is shown on the screen, somebody was able to recognize it. So Carrie, I think a few more of you recognized, right? So you were able to understand from your previous experience what kind of dog it is. And believe me, in a fraction of a second, you were able to answer it. So that's basically your experience. You are connecting to the features of the animal that you have seen with the experience that you previously had, and then you came with an answer. So you can see amongst all of you, few of you who had a prior experience, and amongst them, there was one person probably who was quick enough to answer it fast, very fast, right? So that's all about it, right? Your experience connected, helped you to understand. So first thing here is that you understand the features, right? Everybody was able to understand it's a dog. So that was one part to it. The second thing is that the experience part of it. And third part is that you came back and quickly typed it. So you basically connected your experience. You saw the features, connected the experience, came back with an answer. So that is the thought process which you will be transferring to a machine. Okay. So basically, it's the same thought process, right? The machine will see the images, identify the features. What are the features? The features are nothing but the four-legged animal, right? The wagging tongue, the tail, and the color of the hair which it has, right? So based on all these things, you'll be able to recognize a thing. And your similar thought process, when it gets transferred to a machine, it becomes as smart as you. And that is what Forbes said. You are basically giving data to the machine, and the machine becomes intelligent and starts answering. This also connects back to the thought process or the definition which Tom Mitchell gave: experience based on some tasks, and later, based on that experience, once you get a set of tasks, you perform them and you become more and more smarter, right? Okay. So I think a couple of you have some questions. I think let me go back and see. I think Nidhi had a question before. Okay. Nidhi was talking primarily about, do machine learning use neural networks? Yeah, absolutely. We'll be learning them, Nidhi, in the course. Okay. Then I think, okay. Somebody says that, Raghu says that, is it how fast the system recognizes or how accurate? So basically, it's a trade-off. So what do you need? You need a system which does it accurately and fast enough, right? Okay. So there will be systems which might give lower accuracy but would respond faster, and there will be systems which will be very lazy but would come up with accurate answers. So you need to find a trade-off, find the need to normalize the algorithms to perform in a manner that you get at least a percentage of accuracy which is more than probably a human being seeing it or working on it, so that there is an algorithm which can achieve more precision at a faster rate. Okay. How adaptable is a machine? So Kerry, I think as we go through the course, you will understand that machines are very adaptable. The algorithms are so well built that the machines slowly become adaptable. Okay. Learning algorithms that are used by neural networks. Okay, we will come to that, Nidhi. Just hold on. I know that we are all excited to know more about machine learning, but hold on. Let's take a step-by-step process so that we can understand the basics as we dive into more deeper topics. Okay. So with this, let me go ahead and talk about some of the amazing systems which have already been built. Okay. Okay. How many of you know about this particular company, Newtonomy? Anybody out there heard about it? Okay. No? Okay. How many of you heard about self-driven cars? Yes. Okay. Many of you heard about. So basically, this is the company which has actually brought the self-driven car to the roads. When I say to the roads, they actually have started implementing it. Okay. So this is the first company in the world, and it is actually operating in Singapore, and they have actually brought the 6 self-driven cars on the roads last year. Okay. And they believe by 2018 all of the cars which is part of the fleet of Newtonomy would be self-driven cars. Okay. Now let's come to the basics of it, right? Self-driven car, exciting thing, but what is the complexity, right? So you can see over here, the capture part is a complexity. First thing, a video camera records 30 frames per second, where each frame is an image made up of several colors, okay, and thousands of pixels. So basically, as an individual who is driving car, you are on the road, you see that with the relative speed that you guys drive with somebody else, you see a lot of many things on the road, right? So in this case, the eye of the car, the self-driven car, is a camera. Now this camera takes 30 frames per second. Now in each image, there can be lot many things, right? It can be a truck, okay? It can be a human being who is trying to cross the road. It can be, I mean, if you are in India and if you're trying to build a self-driven car, it can be even a cow. Okay, I mean, many of you have seen that, right, while you are driving. Okay, it can even be, okay, it can even be a traffic signal, right? You probably have to, you can't break the traffic signal, right? So you have to understand that it's a traffic signal. Okay, it can be a traffic signboard. Okay, now the roads are or never, I mean, in if you guys have mostly seen that, right? After some time the roads bend, right? It is never a straight road always, right? So the band can be a sharp band, it can be not that sharp. So how do you understand that it is a sharp band or not a sharp band? It can be a dead end. Somebody said, Yogesh said, it can be potholes on the road. Yes, Bangalore interestingly has got around 15,000 plus potholes. Yes, there you have to drive slow. Excellent, Yogesh, for bringing this out. So yes, so many things, right? And each of the images that you see over here will have either of these things, right? Now you have to understand everything in fraction of seconds. Okay, you have to understand what you are seeing in fraction of seconds. I mean, you have to understand them, you have to take a decision and then drive safely, right? So this is basically the complexity what a self-driven car brings, right? And that is the reason basically a lot of self-driven cars are still a still on, are still concept cars, are not on road. This is the first company which has actually brought it on the road. Okay, interesting. Some of you have rightly said that how do you go ahead and train the model? Yes, we have to train a model. So it's machine learning, we have to train the model. And then there will be some of the items which you cannot train, but it has to be decided based on the attributes. We will come to that. Use of sensors, Kerry says, yes, absolutely. Use of sensors. Sensors has to be there. Okay, so these are intricacies of how you go ahead and build a self-driven car. Okay, but believe me, what I wanted to point out over here is that you will be seeing a lot of there are a lot of variables which I wanted to bring up front by giving example of trucks, signals, and all those things. And then the frame is changing at 30 frames per second. So lot many variability. Okay, so with those variability, you need to take a decision. Interesting. So this is one of the exciting use cases of machine learning, and it's still it is on the road. Okay, now let me go to the next example. How many of you can recognize this? What you can
Shubhra, before you do that, we're at 9:13 and we've got 8 more slides before your demo, so we may have to move really fast through the next few slides. Yeah.
Okay. Sure, Amit. Yeah. So how many of you can understand, what you can see at the screen? Okay. So in the interest of time, let me tell you, this is the Google inbox. Okay. So if you see the Google inbox, you will see today that whatever email you get, okay, you have got 3 different answers. So basically there is a deep reinforcement algorithm which reads through your whatever email you have got, and it decides, right?
Okay. Shubhra, you might need to change that slide. We're still seeing the car slide.
Okay. Somewhat better. Can you guys see it now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I think there is a bit of delay due to network. Okay. So this is the Google inbox. Okay. So what I was telling is that Google uses a deep reinforcement learning algorithm which actually reads through your emails and decides on 3 replies. And most of the time, if you guys have seen, you'll see that the replies match. Okay. Just try it out. Okay. So now can you see the new screen? Okay, can you see the new screen where I am talking about IBM Watson? Yes, I just saw that Watson said yes. Okay, interesting. So what you can see over here is that this is basically a weather bot that me and my team had built for one of the companies Okay, so what we have done over here is that we have actually built a chatbot. Somebody was talking about chatbots. Yes, this is a chatbot which was built and which could advise you on weather. So basically, it's a natural. I mean, it's a bot which can understand the natural language questions that you ask. Something like, is it going to rain today? Do I need to carry an umbrella? And based on that, it segregates into intent and entity, and then it goes and puts it into three buckets. So if you're asking an advice like, is it going to rain now? So it'll go to the weather sensors, right? Weather sensors, which are part of the, which are actually coming from the real time, which are giving you the real time insights, right? So that is something like what we have done is that we have built a weather station and that used to give us real time insights. So that's the advice part of it. Then we have the temperature and condition questions. Basically, it will understand what is the temperature and the condition questions. Temperature as in, is it hot now, and condition is something like, is it going to rain now? Okay, so these are the two variants, but at the end you need not worry about what you're asking. You're just asking a natural language question and the bot is smart enough to segregate it. It's almost similar to what Google Assistant does, yes, but it is only for the weather data. So it's a personal weather bot. Okay, now this was when this I did when I was part of IBM, and as you know, IBM has acquired a company called Weather Company. So this was during that time, and we precisely tuned it in such a way that it understands the question and goes to fetch the forecast data. It understands the question and goes and fetches the sensor data. Interesting. And this is getting implemented in many of the in a couple of corporates, and who are using it for their backend transportation purpose. Okay, so these are three examples I'm going to show you today. I'm running a bit faster because the time is pretty less for us. Okay, one of the interesting historical cases. Okay, so this is about Mr. X, who is born to the family of billionaire Muhammad Awad in Saudi Arabia. As per Wiki, Mr. X had 5 wives and 20 to 26 children. Mr. X died in Operation Neptune Spear. Can anybody take a guess? Anybody? You guys able to see my screen? And can you guys take a guess? Okay, in the interest of time, yeah, you're able to see the screen. So, but I don't know. Okay, so let me, in the interest of time, let me give you the answer. We are talking about Osama bin Laden. So what has Osama bin Laden has to do with AI, right? So basically, University of Tennessee, what they did is that they actually deployed all the global news reports which used to talk about the location of Osama into a supercomputer called Nautilus, which used to run basically on algorithms, something like the economic forecasting algorithms. Okay, so Nautilus was the supercomputer which was actually processing all those global reports which pointed about the location of Osama, and then based on that, it forecasted that somewhere in Pakistan, basically Abbottabad, there Osama bin Laden is present. So it was based on this insight the operation took place. Okay, so this is one of the historical examples where AI was used. Okay, so let's get to the next slide. Okay, what machine learning can do for your business. Okay, so machine learning precisely can do a lot of things, but what I have done over here is that I have accumulated them into 5 key points. The first point is that it can do mass customization of users experience, the environment, and the system responses. Number 2, ability to visually identify objects and automate or tailor experiences. We have already seen it for self-driven car. Automatic retrieval, generation, or processing of content. We all know about the sentiment analysis and other things which are happening, right? I'll show you an example as I go ahead. Prediction, estimates, trends, and scale. I think Amit, in his Tableau example, have spoken about trends. So if you guys haven't seen, there is something called Google Trend. So go ahead and check it out. It talks about trends. Okay, so that is where machine learning is getting used, and it's helping people to understand what is trending. And probably if you guys see different news channels, okay, you will see that a particular breaking news, right? And that breaking news is across all the channels. So that is basically happening because there is an algorithm which is running behind it, which understands that which news has to be catered at what point of time and what is trending. Okay. Last is detection of unusual activity or system failures. This is basically a very important area where you have to find fraud and forgery, and this is basically where me and my team is precisely working on. And we use anomaly and pattern detection along with multiple other algorithms to define whether there is an unusual activity being done. Exactly. Yes. So I hope till now, do Google also use some same trending tool for each user based on his or her interest? I think Nidhi is asking me it's asking me an interesting question. Do Google also use the same trend tool for each user based on his or her interest? So Nidhi, if you have been to Google News, you'll see that, for an example, you'll see that you see a set of news in a particular order, right? It is suggested for you, right? Right? So it actually extracts your behavior, okay? And it decides that what news to be shown to you. And in that, it actually orders them based on the trending news, okay? So it makes two things. One, which Amit has already mentioned, the recommendation part. And the second part is based on what is trending, it will list it as number one, okay? With that, I hope you guys have got a fair enough understanding what machine learning can do for your business, right? Okay, great. So let me go ahead and tell you about what is the product life cycle of let's say you're building a machine learning product. What is the life cycle of it, right? Now, if you see over here, there is ideation, data preparation, prototyping, productization, architecting, right? So there are 5 different aspects of building a product in machine learning, okay? In that, you can see different key stakeholders. So ideation, you've got business expert, domain expert, data scientist. Data preparation, you've got business people, data scientist, domain expert, and product team. Similarly, in prototyping, you have got product team, data scientist, domain expert. Productization, you have again got the data scientist, the product team, and the engineering team. So you can see that different stakeholders out here, right below. Now you can see that the data scientist is present everywhere, right? And that is the reason, probably this is why, I mean, Amit has already said that for in 21st century, this is the sexiest job, one of the high paying jobs, primarily because you are part of the complete cycle. You contribute heavily towards the product, and that is the reason your participants, I mean, in the product building becomes very, very critical, and that is why you are paid. So this is basically the 5 key aspects of building a product, or you can say the 5 milestones that you need to achieve. And this is what is being used by the Facebook machine learning team, okay? So I will not go deep into this today. Probably somewhere next time we will go deep into this, understanding what role each and everyone plays. With this, let me take you to the types of machine learning, okay? We have got very less time left. That is, I have already got the second warning from Amit. So we've got very less time left. So let's talk about the type of machine learning algorithm.
No, so I think it would be fair enough to check with everyone. Can you guys give us around 8 minutes extra, right? 8 to 10 minutes. And if you have a hard stop, then can you please send me your email ID as a private chat? Okay. You can just send me a private chat with your name and email ID, and I will send the entire recording to you. Right. But for the rest of you, we need around 8 minutes extra so that we can show you at least one very good demo in machine learning. Yeah. Okay. And anyone who has to leave, don't forget to send me your email ID as a private chat message. Thank you. Your name and email ID. You will get the recording, data, and everything that you need, including the presentation. Okay. Thanks.
Right.
Shubhra, over to you. Yeah.
Thanks, Amit. So basically, what I was talking about was that what are the different types of machine learning algorithms? There are 2 basically broad different types of broad types of machine learning algorithm. One is a supervised learning algorithm. So as you can see over here, we have the red cross. I mean, the cross marks which are with red, and they are aligning with on your y-axis with malignant. Okay, one which is like yes they are malignant, and the blue cross which is aligned with the 0, which means that they are benign, right? So what we are trying to say over here is that basically if you see on your x-axis, it's all about the tumor size. So as the tumor size increases, okay, as the tumor size increases, you are getting more and more malignant cells, and as the tumor size is smaller, you will probably see that they are benign. So what we are trying to do over here is that we are trying to label the cells, saying that this is a malignant cell and this is a benign cell. And then this is how we train the algorithms, like how we have seen, right? We have seen the dog is being trained. I mean, how did you understand that this is a dog? Because somebody told you that it is a dog. Somebody has shown you and said that this is a golden retriever. This is how you understood it. And similar way, today you have came back and you have answered it when you saw a different image, something which you have not seen before, right? So similar way, in supervised learning algorithms, the machine is trained with labels saying that the red cross that you see over here of this particular tumor size is malignant and the blue one is non-malignant. So tomorrow if you see a tumor size of this particular dimension, then you can I mean as in the machine can understand that this is whether it is a malignant or non-malignant cell. Okay, so that is about supervised learning. Then you have unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning, as you can see over here, everything looks similar, right? All the blue circles, everything is similar. But what is the difference between them? They are into different clusters, right? Where 4 of them are together on the down and 4 of them are together right hand side on the top. Now I think what precisely happens is that, let's say you are just outside the doctor's cabin and you are getting inside. So as soon as you get inside, doctor is not able to understand what kind of disease you have, right? Or what kind of illness do you have. He asks a set of questions, then you answer them, and then based on the attributes of the illness that you provide, he says that you have got a particular disease. It can be a dengue, it can be chikungunya, it can be anything, right? So based on your type of attributes or the symptoms that you talk about, right? So that is all about unsupervised learning, where the algorithm doesn't know what is coming in as input, but based on the attributes, it is actually able to decide like which cluster or which group this particular entity has to be put in. Okay, so this is all about supervised and unsupervised learning. Now, if you see naive bias is basically a classical technique which is based on Bayes algorithm, and this is actually one of the examples of supervised learning. And this is basically, if you see it is predominantly based on probability. Okay, so just to give you a brief understanding, naive bias says that if there are 2 features of a particular, to identify a particular entity, something like an apple which is red, can be of dimension 3 inches. Now the 3 inches can, and the dimension can independently say that, independent of each other, can say that it's an apple. So that is basically the thought process between naive bias. I know we are going very quick, but we will definitely take you in detail as we go into our classes. Okay, this is a very interesting example. In the interest of time, I will leave this today and we will take it when you go into our classes. I will take you directly to the demos. Okay, so today we are talking about 2 demos. I'll quickly take you through the demos. One is a basic sentiment analysis. I've just shown you naive bias, which is a classification algorithm. And then we have prediction of customer churn. So in the interest of time, I will take you through the larger demo, which is the prediction of customer churn using random forest and measuring the model accuracy. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this demo. Okay, let me just close this and start up my instance. Okay. Okay.
And while Shubhro does that, I just wanted to add that everyone who has joined the webinar today will receive a discount for this particular course. So we will email you not just the recordings and the presentations, but if you're based at an international location like the UK or US, you're going to receive a discount which is very significant. Okay, it's going to be 1,000 Indian rupees or close to 25 US dollars, depending on where you're based out of. So please hang around. Okay, thank you, and over to you, Shubhro.
Yeah. So Amit, if you have some more announcement, you can go ahead with it. It will take a bit of time because it's starting the server.
Sure, sure. So yes, and I think if you could show us the rest of the slides that we have, Shubro, after your slides, I can walk people through that right now. If you can just go back to your presentation, right?
Okay, okay, okay. So basically, let me start my presentation and I give you the, okay.
There we go. So, folks, you've learned today what is machine learning and how companies use machine learning, the different types of machine learning, and we've got a batch that's starting out on 21st of October, right, which is next week. And all of you are welcome to the first class. And I want all of you to join that class and formally start your learning process, right? And you've taken a big step. And let me mention to all of you that it's really easy to buy a new cell phone, and I know that there's some great offers that are around the corner. Everyone's waiting, but I would love for you to invest in yourself, right? And us being smarter is more important than phones being smarter, right? So we've got this particular batch, Abhishek, that's starting out right now. I would suggest that each and every class is recorded. So even if you miss one or two classes, please do not worry, because we have a recording of each and every class, and you can also attend that class in the next batch free of cost, right? And as you can see that we will cover in details also data visualization, and we will cover a bunch of other things along with machine learning. So go to the next slide, please, Shubro.
Yeah.
You can now see in the next slide with a Shubro hat. You can see all of the advanced algorithms that we will be covering in this particular course right here. Really detailed Python, course, right? You can come out this course with an intermediate to expert level expertise on machine learning on Python, as well as a complementary expertise on visual analytics using Tableau, right? So look forward to that discount code from all of you, right? It will be pretty significant, 25 US dollars or Indian rupees 1000. And if you're a student, don't forget to write to us, because we have a special pricing for students. What we need is your student ID card. And if you're a student in a university anywhere in the world, we just need your student ID card and we give you an even better pricing. The course is currently priced in India at 19,900 Indian rupees, and in the US, I think it'll be around $289. So we will give you that knowledge. You don't need to have any prior knowledge, Nidhi. We will take you through everything in this course from the beginning right till the end. Okay. So Shubhra, if you're ready, you can go ahead with your demo.
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead with it, Amit. Okay. So now let me get inside. Let me show you something exciting. Hopefully everything works. Yeah. Okay. Let me restart, clear the outputs and get things ready for you. Okay. So now basically as we go into our classes, we'll be working with Jupyter Notebook. So you can see Jupyter Notebook. This is excellent way of writing algorithms in machine learning. And the key thing here is that this is almost like a web UI. You can visualize things in line, you can run the code, see everything. So without wasting much time, let me talk to you about the use case I'm going to take you through. So this is all about customer churn. Okay, so churn rate is a business term basically describing the rate at which customers leave or cease to pay for a product, right? Now, this is very critical in many businesses, as it is often the case that acquiring new customer is always costly as compared to retaining the existing one. So with historical data available for customers, how do we build a model that can predict if a customer is going to churn, that is, a customer is going to leave, right? I'll give you a hint about what is happening in India. In India, with introduction of Reliance Jio, for Bharti Airtel, the customer churn was 4.1% between October to December last year, and it had around 200 million customers. So basically, you guys can understand, right? Somebody who is having 200 billion customers, and then there is a churn of 4.1%. How many customers are leaving? Right, precisely around 8 million customers are leaving. So right, so now with this understanding, we understand what is customer churn. Sorry guys, I had to take you quickly because in honoring the time that we have. Okay, so basically if you can see over here in the first row, what we are trying to do is we're trying to import the libraries that we'll be using. Okay, Now what I've done over here is that I have put in the data set which we have. It's called churn.csv. I will show you what it is. Okay, let me take it in. And now you can see what I've done is that churn_df is a data frame that I've created, and this basically holds all the data that is part of churn.csv. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do is that churn_df, which is a data frame, I'm trying to do dot head. Basically, I'm trying to see 10 rows, whether the 10 rows are present. Now, okay, see over here. So we see, take the first 10 rows from the data set and we are trying to visualize it. So what we have over here is that this is a data which is taken from USA, and we have the state-wise data. So it has got basically different states mentioned over here with the two-letter abbreviation, the length of the account, the area code, the phone number, whether the customer is holding an international plan, whether the customer has got voice mail plan, number of voice messages per day, number of minutes the individual is calling, then day calls, day charges, total set of features, right? You have it over here, right? So we have around 21 columns, right? And in that you can see at the last you have got churn. So churn and question mark is basically what we have to find out. So now this is the data which is given. This is basically the data, the historical data which the customer has given. Okay. Now basically we understand what is inside it. Now what we are going to do over here is that we are going to do a bit of transformation over here. So segregate the target. So we are actually extracting the churn column out from the complete data frame, and we are putting into churn_result. Now what we are trying to do over here is that we are doing a bit of transformation. You can see over here that the churn data is in false and it is in true. So basically what we are trying to do is that we are trying to change it to 1 and 0 for computation, for ease of computation. Okay. Next, what we are trying to do over here is that will remove the unwanted features. So basically as a domain expert, we understand that the state area code, the state, the area code, the phone number doesn't make much sense for predicting the churn, right? So these 3 columns will be removed, and you can see churn question mark is also getting removed, primarily because that is our target variable, and the rest of the things which we have are our predictors, right? Now a bit more of data transformation. So what we are trying to do is that the international plan and the vmail plan, right? So I hope I ran this column. So we go over here, we see that the international plan and the vmail, that is the international plan and the voicemail plan, basically has got data something as no and yes. So no and yes for a machine might not make sense. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to convert them into true and false, and thereby convert them to 0 and 1. Okay. So in this particular case, what we are trying to do is a bit of partial transformation. So we will learn more about it, how to do it, and all those things in our classes in detail. Okay. Then what we are trying to do is that we're trying to see what we have just done. We have converted this into false and true. And this will be used by something called NP. NP, what is NP? NP is nothing but NumPy, which is basically the higher precision array vector matrix library for doing scientific computation. Okay, which is part of Python. Okay, now, interesting. Okay, so next we do some amount of pre-processing. Yeah, they are part of the Python package. Yes, Abhishek, you are right. So we do some amount of pre-processing. So what we do is that we take we import a library called standard scaler. Standard scaler takes and does everything which you have seen, right? The mean, median, standard deviation, the variance, basically the measure of dispersion and the central tendency is being taken care of over here. What are those things? We'll definitely learn in our classes. But most probably, if you guys have gone and read about those things, probably in your back in your maths class, probably you've heard about mean, median, mode, the variance, the standard deviation, the kurtosis, skewness, and all those things. So all those things are done using this library. So this is done behind the screen for you, just to ease the whole thing out. Then you get the shape over here. Okay. So now once you run it, you have, okay, hang on, I didn't run this. So we'll run this. We'll come over here and we'll execute this. Okay. Let's try to execute now this one. Okay. So now you can see over here is that we are trying to see the the shape of X. What is X? X is our predictors, right? So we have got 3,330 rows in this data set and 17 predictor variables, okay? Now, what we try to do over here is that we try to see what is the target variable. The target variable is 0 and 1. What is 0? 0 means the customer will not be leaving or no churn. And 1 means customer will have a churn. That is, the customer will be leaving. So now with this amount of data, let's now try to create a general purpose function. So we have created a general purpose function over here. You can see over here this function called run CV. What does run CV does is that it basically takes a model, it splits the data into test, train, and then what it does is that you can see over here, it fits the train and the test data, and then with the test data, it tries to do some prediction. So y underscore pred is all your prediction data, and y underscore test, what you get over here is all your true observed data. Now with this, let's run it. We have ran now it. We go to one of the popular algorithms or one of the popular models that we have, okay? So random forest is one of the popular models that we have in machine learning. So we'll use this this particular model called random forest, and now we'll try to basically run this particular function with the predictor X, target Y, and RF is your model, right? So let's run it. Okay, so now behind the screen, your model is getting run. It is using all the computation resources, executing, coming up with the predicted variables. Okay, true variables are already available with you, part of the data. Prediction is what you are doing it. And now what we will do is that we will try to see the results. So what we are trying to see over here is that we are sending the true data, we are sending the prediction data, and we see that random forest can actually predict with 94% accuracy. Now, what does this whole thing mean, right? So let's try to visualize this thing. So we will visualize this thing by creating a interesting stuff called confusion matrix, okay? Now let me show you what a confusion matrix is. So basically what we have done over here is that we have taken a part of data which from our complete data, which is given to us by the customer, and we call it the test data, right? So this is our test data. So once we get the data from our customer, we run this algorithm called random forest. Now you can see that this is something called confusion matrix. You can see that there is a 0 just beside the box which has got a number called 932. Then we have got 55 on the other side. Then you have got 8 down and 105. So what does this mean? This means that if you see over here, there is something on your x-axis which is called the predicted, and that is 0 and 1 level on top of it. Similarly, you have got observed on your y-axis, and this has got 0 and 1. So if you see 0 and 0, if you consider that this is a matrix, then the first box is 0 and 0. So what does 0 and 0 mean? 0 and 0 basically means that 932 rows of data were accurately predicted, okay? Similarly, what does 0 means, right? 0 means 932 customers were accurately predicted that they will not churn or leave. And 105, the bottommost corner on the right hand side, right?
We're just about to end the webinar. Please hang around for your feedback forms. So Shubhra, I will have to request that we continue for 2 more minutes and close out now. And Alka, please share the feedback form with everybody in the chat box. Yeah.
Okay, so just concluding over here, you can see 105. What is 105? 105 means it has accurately understood that 105 customers are going to churn. So you have, so for a business, this 105 customers which it has to please and help them make stay. So basically this algorithm was trying to do that. It actually did some amount of mistakes. You can see 55 and 8 where it actually did some amount of mistakes, and that is why it is not 100% accurate output. It is 94% accurate, right? So I hope you have got a bit of understanding. I would say a bit fair enough understanding like how machine learning works, the basic tool, the IDE, and how you will be doing it. But believe me, we will be going much slower. We'll be going much into detail. And at the end of each class, you guys will be able to understand what you guys are doing. Okay. Over to you, Amit. I think I've concluded.
And I'm just going to reclaim the host. And quick thing, folks, we really, really value your feedback. So, Alka, could you please share the feedback form with everybody? All right. So, folks, right now, all of you have received the feedback form. If you click on the feedback form, you will get taken to a screen which has 3 simple questions. Okay. And I want all of you to say yes in the chat box once you've filled these 3 simple questions. I'll tell you why. It really helps us make these webinars more and more interesting for people successively, when they answer these 3 simple questions that we have for you, right? That's number one. Number two is, if I could get your email ID so we can send you your recording, your discounted link, and all the goodies that I spoke about. Before that, please say done in the chat box once you've filled the feedback form. Okay. Is anyone having a problem accessing the feedback form? Please let me know if you're having any challenges, right? No, okay. It's working for Kerry. Jerry is done. Kerry is done as well, okay. And all right, so Kerry, Keezer is having some issues. Okay, Keezer, for you, if you could just mail me your feedback to my personal email ID, amit@equiscale.com. And Nidhi, same for you as well. I think if you had a challenge, please, just send me your feedback at amit@equiscale.com, right? We just want to know, how you felt about the whole experience. And I hope you've all sent me your email IDs, because I think I have not got it from some of you. So what all I have to send you is your recording, your presentation, the data sets that we worked on today, and in Tableau, and the Tableau installation link. Apart from that, please do feel free to reach out to me directly if you have questions. Okay, so I'm available on WhatsApp, by the way. And Jerry, thanks a ton for your email ID. We'll make sure that we'll have it across to you. Okay, and I just wanted to share my coordinates with everyone. Okay, so you can reach me at amit@equiscale.com for questions that you have on this course. And my WhatsApp number, which works globally, is +91 973165780, right? If you could please take a jot of these two details. If you enjoyed today's session, we have just one request for you, and that is that could you please rate us on our Facebook page. It would mean a lot to us, and if we get good ratings, if you like the webinar, please do rate us 5 on Facebook, or like our Facebook page if you thought well of us. So I'm going to share this link with you now. There we go. Jessica, I got your email ID. Thanks a ton. I got your email as well. Vinay Prasad, thanks a ton there. And for all of you, if you can click on our Facebook page and like our page, and if you really, really enjoyed this webinar, please do rate us 5 on 5 and share your comments about this webinar on Facebook with others. I think what would really make a lot of difference is if we can get your comments as well. Look, we're not funded. We actually do this for benefit of a lot of people that want to learn data science, and your ratings and your comments can make a huge difference, to us. Thanks a lot, Sarah. I will reach out to you as well, Sarah, with all the details that I shared, including the discounts. Okay. Along with your email, could you also mention, whether you're based internationally out of the US or Europe or India, so that I know whether you're based out of, the Middle East, the US or Europe or India, and we can offer you the right discounted link as well, right? Marianne, I think you're from the UK. You already mentioned that. Sarah, also based out of the UK. That's great. We've got a lot of learners from Manchester and London, so we'll be sure to offer you the discount that we offer to the folks in the UK. Of course, we've got a ton of folks that are learning from us in the US and Canada as well. So, Keezer, you're from Dallas. Oh, that's great. We've actually got learners, more than a couple of learners in Dallas. So we'll be sure to share across the US discount with you, Keezer Sose. Okay. Nidhi India, yes, we have the discount from Indian learners as well. And if any of you are students, please do mention that to me, because we have something different going on for students. Okay. And we've got Jessica from Washington, D.C. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jessica. All right. So, folks, I hope some of you had a chance to like our Facebook page and rate us on Facebook. Again, it will mean a lot to us. Okay, we conduct these 100% free of cost, but I think it means a lot to us that you share your views on the webinar. All right, so we're going to log off for today. So Shubhra, thank you so much. Let's all say thanks to Shubhra for sharing such a fantastic sort of demo and talk on machine learning with all of us. Okay, and a very good day and good night to you, depending on where you are, and a very good afternoon to those in the UK. I know it should be somewhere around late afternoon in the UK. If you're in the US, well, have a very good day ahead of you. If you're in India, I hope you hit the bed soon. It's going to be a good night for you. This is typically when we conduct the classes. So, Keza, I'm glad that you enjoyed the session. And Yogesh, thank you for liking our Facebook page. Okay. And Hardayal Singh, thank you so much. I don't know if I got your email ID, Hardayal. Feel free to share it if you'd like, us to sort of share the recording and other details with you. All right, great. So we're logging off now, and a lot of you liked our Facebook page. Please also feel free to like us and rate us on 5 and share a few reviews about this webinar on Facebook. And Abhishek Sen Gupta just rated this webinar 5 on 5. Thank you so much, Abhishek. I think it means a lot to us that you did that, Abhishek. Great. So we'll see you all around on the 21st, which is the next free class on machine learning. So please do join up. And before that, if you want to join the course, I think it'll be even better because you'll get all the details of data presentations before you join the course. Very good day, very good night, and good afternoon to you. Bye-bye.